Good morning, beautiful black geniuses. Today, welcome to Money Church presented by the Black Wealth Rebels. And today we are talking about a really, really important topic when it comes to your investment and trading. Let's say tactics and strategies, right? Income statements. A lot of people don't understand the importance of an income statement. Now, the income statement for me, from an accountant standpoint, is trash, but it's absolutely important. And you got to understand it because it shows you how good a company is doing, how bad a company is doing, and if it has any prospects of turning around in the future. So as we get going today, Jimmy's got a wonderful presentation as always. And now he's back. He's been on world tours, hanging out with the good black folks down in Tulsa. So what's up, Jim? What's up, Corey?
The talent is back in the building, people. What's really good?
Oh, Lord. Here we go. Here we go with the shenanigans.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing, man? What's up, everybody?
Oh, man, we got people already.
We living, bro, man. Listen, man. I went to a scholarship banquet yesterday.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Where you go?
Yeah, I went to a scholarship banquet.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. Me and my wife had
highfalutin Libyans.
Oh, wow.
No. My wife is a Delta, and we supported a few kids with some scholarship money. I forgot we had even done it during the school year, and then we were there to see them receive their scholarship awards. So
nice.
That was pretty dope. So yeah, we out here really helping the babies, man.
So you was giving away scholarships yesterday. Kamari had a speaking event. He was some sort of Christian. I think Kamari was reading from the book yesterday or something.
Nah, man, he was at a Christian mingle event.
No.
Whoa. Standard already. Listen.
He was at christianmingle.com.
All right, so listen, for anybody that's watching, y'all know this is what normally happens on Friday. So clearly Friday's bleeding over to Sunday. What's up with the slander?
But no, Kamari spoke yesterday in front of a crowd. Yeah, he was like, I don't know. It seemed to be some Christian leaning thing. I don't know.
I mean, it wasn't quote unquote a Christian event, but a lot of people there were Christians. I mean, listen, that's where the community is. That's where they've been for a long time.
How did it go though? How did your speech go? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it wasn't a speech. It was more of a conversation, and this is what some of the people said. They said I was out there feeding the community.
Okay. So, all right, I see you. You know what I'm saying? My brother in Christ.
Listen, as long as it's black Christ, we can talk. I ain't down.
You know, some folks don't like that.
So here's a quick story, right? I had a homie, a tax attorney boy years ago. He would talk to me about Christianity. When I talk about quote unquote Jesus, it's always black Jesus because I was raised in church. And it always baffled me why we got this white dude on it's Sunday, y'all, on the goddamn stained glasses on the walls. So I say black Jesus. I intentionally say black Jesus. And if you look up the text, historically, that is accurately correct. He cussed me out. He was like, Jesus ain't got a color. Well, if that's the case, why is he white on all the stained glass windows and the hood? But
hey, listen, man,
this is talking for about 5 years.
Sometimes I realize how my childhood was cultivated because I didn't even have that experience, which is funny because I hear people talk about that all the time. But I grew up in such a black environment that even the Jesuses around me, and again, I didn't grow up in a Christian household, but even the Jesuses around me in different aspects were all black. But again, when you get older, you realize that everybody doesn't have your experience in terms of how you were raised.
We definitely had the white Jesus with the one hand pose like he was on Yu-Gi-Oh. We definitely had those.
I had the good times Jesus, like that JJ.
The Michael. He was like Mama Jesus black. Like if you don't take that shit up.
Speaking of good times, I was watching. I don't know whatever streaming service is on. I don't know if it's Paramount or whatever. I found that they had Good Times on there, so I was clicking around like, let me watch some old Good Times. First of all, they need to remaster it because the footage is crazy. But I was reading the description and it said a middle class family in Chicago, and I stopped right there. I said, middle class?
Man,
When the hell was they middle class?
They be struggling to eat. You talk about middle class.
The one boy wasn't in the NFL, right? So maybe a lower
No, he
lower
wasn't in the
income middle class.
No, remember, they luck right before the draft. He blew his knee out. Never
made
it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They thought they was getting out because he was going to the league right before the draft. He blew his knee out. I'm gonna screenshot that so y'all don't think I'm lying. Yo, it says a middle class African American family, and I was like, hold up. I'm not. What we talking about here? Like, what do you consider?
We need to do a show on that. That's hilarious.
We need to do a show on what's considered middle class, right, and how that changes over time, and how we really don't have a middle class anymore. Like, we could do a Wednesday show on, like,
we got rich and we got poor,
classes, right? Middle class, working class, lower class, upper class. Wealthy, because there's levels.
That matters anymore. We got rich and we got poor.
Yeah, we got money for war. You can feed the poor too.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I've been telling people that, man. You either rich or you poor. It's never been a middle class.
Hey, is Corey frozen to you, Kamari? Oh, there you go. There you go.
He was frozen for a minute. He's back.
Okay, all right, got you. I was making sure it wasn't just me. You cool now, though. I heard you. You just look like,
Dang, my internet must be janky as hell.
Oh yeah, that's right. You back down in Texas.
Yeah, man. I got the janky internet going on.
You back in Texas, man. But listen though, man, like Tulsa was a great experience for me, y'all. Real quick, I'll probably do a full review on one of the other shows because we gotta get into our class this morning. But I just gotta say a couple things, man. The energy of our folks is amazing, man. So I was there for about a week. Visited the museum, met a lot of folks. I met some iconic folks too. Now I'll share that in a future show. But the one thing I want to say is there was a block party on Black Wall Street on Juneteenth, right? And this block party goes down several blocks, right? From Greenwood and Archer down all the way down Greenwood Ave, like it's several blocks. And it was full with nothing but beautiful Black people, like just singing, partying, dancing, good food,
good
DJs.
Vibe.
Oh man, it was amazing, man. But the one thing I'll say is this. So it gets late and the DJ starts playing Not Like Us, right?
Oh boy.
And I've never seen several thousand people collectively call someone a PDF, yo, a PDF. And I'm in the building. I'm sitting around. I'm right by the DJ booth. I'm looking down the street. You see nothing but a sea of people. I'm talking about thousands of people. And everybody from 5-year-olds to 60-year-olds collectively. And I was like, you know what? I don't even blame the Canadian boy. I might have sued too, because you're not just going to sit here every time. Because first of all, there's certain songs that are staples in like, quote unquote, Black listen, we going to hear Frankie Beverly, right? Yep. You know what I'm saying? We going to do some line dances, right? So, but this has become part of like that. I've been to barbecues already this summer, and it's like, that's a thing that comes on. But this is like thousands of people collectively like slandering ball. I was like,
so was it the A minor bar?
Dog, A minor. I'm talking about little 5-year-olds. So I got something on footage too. A minor. I was like, dog, they don't even know what they're singing. It's just like they don't even know what they're saying. But then you got
shows the power of music.
60s talking about a minor. I was like, yeah.
That just shows the power of music, though.
Huh?
That shows the power of music.
Yo.
Yeah, I was sitting there like, yeah, I might have sued too. Like y'all not gonna do this gonna happen for the rest of the time, bro. It's like it's not one cookout that y'all ain't gonna be sitting here calling me a weirdo, yo.
Yo. He ain't never going to shake that. But this is what I'm saying.
It's like y'all not going to wobble, then call me a PDF at every barbecue.
Yes, they are.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to hear Frankie Beverly. We're going to do the wobble, and we're going to call you a purge. Like, that's just part of part of our events.
Listen, he made it part of the culture, which is crazy. Listen, man. He got to lead the Black Air. He got to lead the Black Air Force One energy alone, bro. Like
he don't. No, he don't.
every time he get involved with these Black Air Force energy young boys, man, he get murdered. Like he need to cut it out because listen, he got 3 iconic moments that happened to this man.
But there's a life lesson in that, Corey. There's a life lesson in that, man, where sometimes it's best.
Hold on, Jeff. Before we even get to that, right? So you got that one song, right? Then you got Meet the Grahams, where Kendrick is writing a letter to the Bulls' son.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I'm not.
Wait a minute. But that's a multi-generational diss record.
He called
No, but
his
hear me
son,
out though.
his
I
mom.
wasn't even trying to rehash all this, right? What I was talking about is just like all the other disses are disses. What is what it is. But this is like a staple. Because again, I've been to barbecues in Philadelphia. There was a barbecue yesterday. That I was. It's like I've been to multiple barbecues. Like this is part of, and we probably can make a playlist of like just
It's part
staple
of the
songs
culture.
that play at black barbecues, right? Like I told you, Frankie Beverly. I've been to barbecues all across the country. Frankie Beverly is going to come on. Before I Let Go is going to be played. And now
Absolutely.
the new thing is you mix it right into the Beyonce. Like that's just part of the culture now, right?
Yeah, man.
And
You're
I don't
going to
even like the
wobble.
Beyonce one, but I'm glad that he got that money.
You're going to wobble, right? You're
Listen,
going to
man,
wobble. Like black folks
that
are going
Rock
to
Creek
wobble.
Park, that all that's the old school, the Rock Creek Park and all that, man. Listen, if you don't, man, listen, doing it in the dark, doing it in the park, doing it after dark. Oh yeah, Rock Creek Park.
Oh
Listen,
yeah.
so there's certain things that will be a part of that. And I'm just saying this dude has made a diss song a part of that whole thing, right? So like
Again,
you're going to
another
wobble.
multi-generational curse.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all I was saying, man. I wasn't trying to turn this into that though, because we're gonna get into our class this morning, but just sharing my experience, man. But overall, man, it was being in Tulsa, dog, was like both inspiring but also angering, right? Because I learned some lessons from literally descendants of the folks that were on Black Wall Street, and there were certain things that listen. I've read tons of books on the massacre. I've watched countless documentaries, and I learned things on the ground that I didn't know until I talked to the descendants of the folks there. And I'll share this in a future joint. I also want to put this out there too. I've mentioned this before. This is a book that I read. I think it's one of the best books on the Tulsa massacre. It's called "From Burning the Blueprint" by our brother Kevin Matthews, which is dope too because I got this directly. I got this directly from our brother Kev. You know what I'm saying, with the signed copy, with the notes and all that. But when I was down there in the bookstore, it's actually in bookstores right on Black Wall Street, so that's dope. But this is one of the best books because I know I don't know if Don's here live, but I know Don has read this as well. He gives a lot of the backstory that led up to the massacre, and he gives like some his perspective on how to move forward and how to recreate it in a digital space. So I think that's kind of dope. But yeah, man, learning from the descendants of the folks that were actually there. I got to meet a gentleman by the name of Bobby Eaton, who's a legend down there. He's a 90-year-old man who's a descendant of one of the original folks on Black Wall Street, and we had a conversation. I got some of it recorded as well. And it's funny because I'm sitting here meeting him, and he's like an iconic figure down there. And matter of fact, he's in countless Tulsa documentaries. Like, have you seen the one that was on HBO or the one that's on Netflix? He's on all those. But I got a chance to meet and talk to him, and he's giving like me props for the stuff we're doing here in the community. And I was like, oh. And that's when it clicked to me, like, yo, we're living history, because he looked us up. He was sitting there with his folks, and he saw about the camp, about the cash mobs, and he was telling me how proud he was of the work we're doing. So that was kind of like inspiring as well. But overall, man, it's a vibe. It's something that you gotta experience, man, and it's also can be very emotional too.
Listen, man, it is my dream one day to do a countrywide tour of Black impacted places, whether it's businesses, organizations, people, and different places, because I feel like a lot of times in Philly we're isolated. And Philly's a city of neighborhoods, but we have the same experiences all throughout the country. I mean, the world too, but specifically right now.
And that's kind of what I was trying to say. Like, I wasn't joking. I was kind of say that, right? Because there's differences, right? In terms of like geography, but there's like this overarching thing where all of us understand what whatever this thing is means, right?
Yep.
So, because even when it pertains to the block party, there were certain songs that were like hits there that like they're not, what I'm saying, like Philly, that's not gonna go off the same way. But
Frankie Beverly was there.
Yeah, but there's certain things that just are overarching in terms of our experience here on the continent, I should say, not even the country, but the continent. Like, we have certain like experiences that no matter where you are, it is what it is, man. Yep. By the way, I'm reading another book too right now. It's called Philadelphia Corrupt and Consenting by Brett Mandel. You ever read that before, Kamari?
No, but Brett Mandel is a very interesting cat. I need to read that book because Brett Mandel is a finance guy. And he's done a lot. He's pointed out a lot of corruption in Philly.
Yeah, I know. I'm familiar with his body of work as a person, but I never read his book before. But I'm reading the book, right? Side note.
It's on Audible?
No, it's not on Audible. Here's a side note though. My simple ass never had used Libby before, right? And my wife always tells me like, I got this off Libby, whatever.
Wait a minute. You always talking on Libby, so you never use Libby?
I had never used it before. My wife always uses it, right? So I finally decided to use my, my library card, get Libby, and I realized something too. So when you go on Libby, they got audiobooks too.
Yeah, and the selection
I'm like, yo,
phenomenal.
All the audiobooks be on hold, especially the popular joints. But it seems like y'all ain't taking advantage of the Kindle joints. So they got the regular ebook joint. So I found this on there, something I always wanted to read. So I started reading it. I'm reading a couple new books I just want to put out there before we get into the class. That's one of them, which is Philadelphia Corrupt and Consenting. I'm reading that on the Kindle, by the way.
So wait a minute, you're reading that with the computerized lady voice, right?
So I can do that, but I've been physically just reading it myself.
Okay.
I do know how to do that part though. You know what I'm saying? But I haven't been doing it. I've been literally reading it. I can read in my Ice Cube voice. But the other book is a new book too, and I know me and Don had talked about this online. He's reading it as well. It's called Black Capitalists.
So I'm reading it now. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I got it on Audible. Yeah,
I do too. I got that on Audible. Yeah. So Black Capitalists and Philadelphia Corruption. So I'm reading about Black capitalism and Philadelphia corruption. Let's see if there's any overarching themes in those two books. So that's what I'm reading right now. What you guys read, man? Everybody, I know all of us are always reading.
I'm going back to Confessions of an Economic Hitman, Part 1 and Part 2.
That's so appropriate for right now.
That's what. And listen, this is why I started going back to it, because I was reading Bill Brother Bill, because I was trying.
Oh yeah, Corey was dropping Bill Brother Bill bars the other day.
Okay.
Okay. Yo, man, that's my daily word, man. That's like my little. That's my Bible.
You said this is your Bible, huh?
Yeah, that's my Bible. That's my daily word.
No, this is one of the greatest books. I keep it by the I keep it right on my desk. So here it is, right here. I literally keep this on my desk because I'm inspired by the brother, man. So Brother Bill stays on the desk.
Yo, listen, I showed my copy the other day, man. Like I'm back home, so I got my library. So I read my daily word. It's like I feed myself with the words of the ancestor, man. And but after what's going on out here in the world, man, I had to read I had to start reading Confessions of an Economic Hitman again, because it's so apropos for what's going on right now.
Yeah, that's an excellent book, by the way. If anybody's never read that book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, make sure to get it, because it gives you a different perspective on how things work in the world. You start to see things for what they really are. So I think that's an excellent read, man.
Yeah, so I went back to that. Like, again, man, I had to go back to my, to my staples, because I need to look at it from the lens of today. Reading the words and then having it come back to you with the world and the place that it's in right now. And so I often do that, like go back to books I've read already when I see a world situation. And I'm like, all right, because another book I read a lot is Asada, and the things that she talks about, in her. So what's really crazy? I don't do a lot of new reading. I don't know why, but I find myself rereading books that I've already read, trying to get different perspectives.
That's the real cheat code.
No, that's a good thing.
That's the real cheat code.
Yeah, no, I love consuming information. There are certain books that I'll reread.
Like The Warmth of Other Suns, I've read that, and I'm also reading the other Isabel Wilkerson joint that we read together. Cast. So like, since I've been home, I've been finding myself rereading books that I've already read, but putting them into the into the perspective of what's going on right now.
Listen, I get that, and I probably need to do more of that. I just love new material too. I kind of love both. But I've read stuff like I've read Animal Farm like 25 times.
Yo, I've read Animal Farm 16 times, bro, and I'm not even.
Wow.
I've read Powernomics several times. You know what I'm saying? There's certain books that I've read.
Another book that I've read a bunch of times is 1984. That book is scary, bro. Like,
I need to reread that. I haven't read that in probably a decade.
Big Brother's watching.
You need to reread 1984.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna add it to the list of reread. I'm gonna add it to
the Kurt Vonnegut joint too. What's the Kurt Vonnegut joint where you be talking about Oh man, what's the Kurt Vonnegut joint? Oh
Oh,
man,
you talking about let me see. But no, I'm pretty sure I can go on Libby and get that.
So here's a book I need y'all to add to your list if you haven't read it
Okay.
already.
You got something for us?
A Taste of Power by Elaine Brown.
Are you talking about Slaughterhouse-Five, Core?
no, not Slaughterhouse-Five. The other
So
joint where he be talking about dystopian America and like 2024, and that's where we at right now. I need to. What's the name of the joint? Damn.
Well, when you're done with it, we'll just come back to it. But
yeah, we'll
everybody,
think about it. What's the book you said to add, Kamari?
right? A Taste of Power by Elaine Brown. A Taste of Power by Elaine Brown. She's the sister who ran the Black Panther Party.
Oh, I actually got that. Man,
Right.
I told you to get it. What are you talking about?
No, Karan told me to get it.
No, when you put that post up, I was like, yo, I said I went and looked it up and I found the book. You was like,
So
I
did
gotta
you
get that book.
did you
That
get it?
That wasn't Karan, that was me. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
You didn't get it?
I do get it. I got it. I haven't started it yet. I did.
Oh, you got to start it. So she's from Philly and she gives a great. So the funny thing is, she's from Philly. She grew up literally around the corner from my mother and my family in North Philly. So that would be the same for you too, Corey, because they down there off of York Street and all that. But
Yeah.
very powerful book. I have not done yet, but it's crazy.
I'm gonna try it and read it 1 through 10, but I just haven't started it yet because I'm trying to finish these other 2 books. Once I finish the other 2 books, that'll be the next one I start.
All right.
By the way, last thing I'm gonna say before we get into today's lesson, because you're not gonna be here for a long time, but it's gonna be a good time. Is that H. Rap Brown audio book? It's on Audible, and by the way, it's completely free. It's just look up H. Rap Brown. It's called
I told you to check that one out, right?
Yes, you told me to get it, but you haven't listened to it. That is it was a phenomenal piece of work. Shout out to Audible for doing that because it's free, by the way. It's not even you can if you guys got Audible, go get it for free, but it's H. Rap Brown. Listening to that story.
I downloaded it, but I didn't get to it yet.
So listen to that story, and I already knew the story, but they give you a lot more context. And reading or listening to that, I call it a kind of a combination, right? Listening as I'm reading and listening. I'm listening to that, and I found myself getting so angry, and then I realized I was like, good art will make you feel, whether that's angry, happy, whatever that feeling is. But I got that feeling.
It'll also make you think too.
Yes, absolutely, and that piece did that. So I want to put that out there too. Did you find the name of it, Kamari? I know it's H. Rap Brown. It's on Audible. I'm gonna get y'all the exact name so y'all can go look it up because again, it's free. You don't even have to pay for this one. It's where is it at? The H. Rap Brown joint. It's called Burn Baby Burn. Yeah, it's Burn Baby Burn. But it's about H. Rap Brown. It's an Audible exclusive joint. So for those of y'all who use Audible or have Audible rather, go get that. It's about H. Rap Brown, but it's called Burn Baby Burn. Phenomenal piece of work. Let me know what you think about it after you listen to it. How it made you feel. That's what I'm interested in because, man, Corey, listen to this, bro. You're gonna be ready to, not that you ain't already, but
don't say that on there. Don't say that on there.
Anyway, man, let's get to it, man. Let's talk about today's lesson because we gonna talk about what we like to talk about, which is finance. Black finance. You know what I mean? We are the Black Wealth Rebels. And by the way, please make sure you join the village. Shout out to all the new members of the village, both free and paid members. We appreciate all of you. For the paid members, we got some stuff we're going to drop to y'all soon. I'm sitting on a couple pieces of content that's only for paid members, so you will get more than all the other members. But we appreciate all the members. Also, I got to mention this before we get into the class. Our registration for the camp is open, and I want to tell because I got a lot of messages. People saying, "Well, I'm not in Philadelphia." We're gonna. This is our first time attempting this, but we are going to try. We're going to stream and do it live. For those that are in Philadelphia, though, if you're in Philadelphia, please come live. And the reason I say come live, we have catered lunches. That's right. The babies will get catered lunches. They're going to get to meet other entrepreneurs and movers and shakers within the community. Will be at the camp. So please come live. It's going to be a unique experience. We got board game. I got a new board game out on Black Wall Street too called Blackopoly, right? So I'll show y'all what that looks like.
And then we have tiered games too. So we have games for the 5 to 10-year-olds, and then we got the higher. So we tier the games.
Yes.
For the babies all the way up to the.
We're doing live cash prizes. And shout out to the village. Shout out to everybody who's donated. A lot of you guys that are watching live have donated to the camp. And it's all appreciated. It's all going to the babies in terms of providing an experience for them. helping with these catered lunches and the place that we have a beautiful, beautiful place. The 6-man center is state of the art. It's brand new. So this is going to be our biggest and our best camp, right? Because we have the great location, we got the catered food, we got the new games. We have a lot of people that have volunteered. My architect hit me up and was like, "Yo, I want to come talk to the kids." He's a black architect. He's phenomenal. So we got folks like that. I got friends that own Rita's Water Ice. They want to come. Black folks too, right? Own their own Rita's. I got a lot of people that are.
Oh man, Rita's. Oh man, that's gonna be a problem.
Listen, man. He came to our camp before and brought the kids.
He came by one of our other kids. Listen,
all I'm saying is, man, we got some folks, man. We got some folks from every walk of life, from the politicians to the business folks that look like us. Again, this is our camp, so it's folks that look like us that are movers and shakers in this city. Will be there live. Now, again, we're still going to give an experience to those that aren't in the city and want to stream. But go to bthcamp.com. Just go to bthcamp.com. Make sure to register so we can have an accurate head count in terms of who's going to be where. But this is going to be our greatest camp ever, man. I just want to say thank you to everybody who has donated and helped us make this happen. Want to put that out there. Man, we got a lot going on. Our last cash mob was success. We're lining up our next cash mob for September at a black-owned establishment. We have a topic. We have a guest. We just want to line up where we're going to have it at. We'll announce that soon. And we got a lot going on in the community, man. We got some special announcements coming soon. But everything we do is community-based, and you guys help us make that happen. And by being members of the village and by, helping us do the work that we do. So go to blackwealthrebels.com to make sure you join the village and make sure to share with your family and friends. Share the camp with your family and friends. If you can't donate, just help us by sharing it to your network, because we're trying to impact as many families as possible. Corey only has one rule in terms of the people that you invite to the camp, and I'll let Corey tell his rule because I'm trying to protect my political connects. But Corey, you can tell your rule.
I don't have no political connects, man. Leave your white friends home, man. I don't know what else to tell you, how else to say it. I just leave your white friends home. Like, I don't. This is for black people, by black people, to the black people. Leave your white friends home, man. Like, I don't really got. There's only one rule, man. I would not lose. But the second rule is, you know what I mean? Like, leave your white friends home, man. Like, and I'm saying this. I'm not saying this facetiously. I mean this shit. Leave your white friends home. Like, I don't.
All right, so. That's Corey's one rule. So I just want to let Corey explain his one rule. Miss Maui, I just saw this before we get into it. Let me answer this. I don't know. Was it free for you, Kamari?
It was, because I already have it in my thing.
Me too. I didn't pay for it. I think maybe it's because we have a membership, Miss Maui.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's free for the membership.
It's free for the membership, Miss Maui. I apologize, Miss Maui. I thought it was free, but I guess it's because we have a membership to Audible, so maybe it's free for those that are already members. But I didn't pay for it, but even if it is something you pay for, listen, I think it's worth it. It really is. But I say all that to say, let's get into today's lesson, man. And today, we are going to talk about the income statement, right? So we've had a membership for 7 years. I'm not sure why it's not free then. That's weird, because neither one of us paid for it. Is it dependent upon what tier you have, Kamari?
I'm not sure, but we'll get into that later.
I don't know, Miss Mel. I'll look into it and maybe even reach out to Audible and ask. But anyway, man, let's talk about today's lesson, right? And if you are in the village, this part of today's show will be separated out and be its own little thing and part of our options 101, which is we're going to talk about the income statement, and it's a key investor tool. So this is key for a couple things. Cool, it's key for an investor as well as a trader. And I do want to say this: anything we say is for educational and informational purposes only. This is not investment advice. We are not your fiduciaries, but we are going to talk about the income statement, right? So this is essential for evaluating a business before you invest in a stock. Here's what I want to say, and I've said this on every Sunday class, going back to the beginning of, we created the Sunday school, which is when you buy stock in a company, you are buying ownership in that company, right? You're buying ownership in that company. Stocks aren't just some random thing that's out there with a number. I know sometimes people treat it like that, but it represents ownership in a company. And when we're talking about ownership in a company, we want to know how they make their money. We want to look at their financials. One of those key financials is their income statement. Now, there's various parts of an income statement or various types of income. We're going to talk about those in the future, but this is just an overarching thought, some thoughts about the income statement and why it's important to understand an income statement. So the thing is, an income statement is also called a P&L or a profit and loss statement. You'll hear people talk about P&Ls. Now, this comes whether we're talking about a huge company that's on the stock market or your everyday mom and pop store. One of the things I always like to juxtapose companies that are traded on the stock market is to small companies, because a lot of people have experience running small companies. I don't care if you're selling water ice, in front of your house. I don't care if you're selling books, you're selling T-shirts. A lot of us have started businesses and we understand the idea of profit and loss, or we should understand the idea of profit and loss. And I bring that up is because I've seen people who operate a business, and I know Kamari can, really attest to this as someone who's in the tax accounting field, where people run a business and you think this one way, but it's actually the other way. You start to ask them for their P&L statement and they're like, what are you talking about? They don't keep good books. They don't know how much profit they're making. They don't know how much income they have coming in and what's going out. They just know that I got to pay for this material and I sell it for this, but they're not doing a great job of keeping track of what's known as a profit and loss statement. If you're in business, you're in business to make profit. And if you're not making profit, why are you in business? You know what I mean? UPS is hiring. So P&L, Kamari, I know I want to let you speak on this real fast because someone in your profession, I'm pretty sure you've seen people not keep good P&Ls or not even know what a P&L is, although they've been in business for 5 years. Like, have you had that experience before?
Do I? All the time. All the time. And it's funny, right? So we joke about business credit. Jimmy calls it, what is it now? Business funding is the new term that Jimmy put me on to. But I've even had clients who they would go and get funding, but they wouldn't know what revenue is. They wouldn't know what income is. And I felt bad. It's like, damn, maybe I didn't do a proper job in educating them, because I always do try to educate. Problem is, if you're not necessarily wanting the education and you just want the money and not understanding why having the money and the education is so important, sometimes it gets lost. But yeah, the income statement is important. I talked about it earlier. My favorite statement is the statement of cash flows, but I don't want to confuse y'all. Income statement is important. It lists out the money that came in, should list out how it came in, and then how it went out. So the money, how they made money, what products and services they sold, and then what expenses that they had to acquire or buy in order to then sell those products and services. So whether it tells you a lot, the income statement will tell you a lot.
So it's funny, right? Because all three of us belong to a Black investment club here in the city. And ibbig.net, if you want to look up our investment club, is actually online, ibbig.net. But so sitting on the executive board of ibbig is interesting because I get so many things pitched to me in terms of Black-owned businesses that are looking for investment, and they know that I'm a part of a Black-owned investment club. So we invest in things on the market, but we also invest in small businesses that try to put capital into people that look like us who are building businesses. And I'll tell you one thing. Right. So I've come to the conclusion that before I bring it to the entire club, we have to vet some of these deals because there's so many deals. One question that sometimes will shut everything down is, well, can we see your P&L? And what I found is just asking that question just kills a lot of the noise, right? Hey, I'm looking for an investment in my business. I'm doing whatever. It could be anything, right? I'm creating an alcohol brand or a real estate company or whatever it may be. Okay, so let's see your P&Ls before I take it to the club. And you start to get the and then you know that, what did my man say on Succession? You're not serious people. Y'all just not serious people, man. By the way, Succession was a great show on Max.
It was a wild show.
Yeah, you're just not serious people. But anyway, the second part is it shows revenue, it shows expenses, and it shows profits, right? The income statement will show you the revenues, expenses, and your profits. And all of those things are important. Like Kamari said, what are your revenues? How much are your expenses? What are your profits? It's one thing to make money, right? Overall, looking at your gross number, it's one thing to make money. But how much of that are you retaining? What are your expenses? How much are you profiting? Now, this also can cover quarterly or annual periods. I think this is important to point out. I think it's kind of ridiculous the way that we do things. This is a personal thing. This isn't part of the presentation. It's putting my own personal spin on it. The fact that we judge these things quarterly. Now, I understand why, right? But if we're talking about building something, we want to build over the long term. So to me, sometimes quarterly can be misleading because something can happen and to kind of affect that quarter. Now, with that being said, it's also important to look at these income statements, quarter to quarter to see what's happening. So I understand the importance of it, but it can be misleading if you just take one quarter in the vacuum and make a decision. So you have to look at this quarter versus the next quarter versus the next quarter. How is management, behaving with that company quarter over quarter? So that's how you do it, but it can be an annual period as well. You can do an annual analysis, semi-annual, or quarterly analysis, but you should be looking at more than one period.
But also, Jim, too, it depends on the perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know, like you just created a great perspective, right? And that's how I'm looking at them. Usually from, let's say, a business investor perspective, not necessarily a stock market perspective, right?
Yes.
So if you're looking to invest in the business for the long term with your own dollars or the club's own dollars, you're going to look at it totally different. You want to see it quarter to quarter because you're like, are they on top of their accounting?
Yes.
And some people will do a wonderful job, gussy up their financials, make it look great when it's time to get that loan. Right after that, it's back to business, and it ain't no business.
No, it's true, right? But I'm glad you said that because it's what's interesting is my perspective in buying stock. I kind of treat the same as buying the business, but I do understand the importance of quarter. But what I'm saying is you can't take one quarter in a vacuum. Is what I really should have said.
Oh no, I get that, but that's what I'm saying. Like, because Warren Buffett talks about it all the time, right? Sometimes we get these little blips. They don't mean anything on the long-term thing. But when you're not a billion-dollar company, because Jim's not investing in billion-dollar companies at the club level, right?
Yeah.
If I'm Kamari personally investing, I'm not investing in the stores and the businesses. I shouldn't say stores, excuse me. The businesses, let's say black-owned businesses that are billion-dollar businesses. They don't need our money. They're dealing with somebody else. But we need our money because we ain't got that much. So we got to make sure we are doing due diligence.
Great points. Those are all great points. And what I'm just saying is sometimes I think that when you talk about looking quarter to quarter, sometimes it makes us make decisions that probably aren't best for the long term, because specifically when it comes to public companies, right? Because you have people whose income and their livelihood are tied to quarterly results. And it's like, but are we building something that's sustainable and that can last a lifetime versus something that, we're going to have some hot quarters, we're going to make some money, and then we're on to the next thing, right? So Robin talks about it, the idea of hustling versus building actual business. And shout out to Robin. Robin is she's going fire in the chat. These are excellent points.
Robin must be a tax accountant.
Yeah, Robin's going fire in the chat, right? But what she's saying is true. They have to know the difference between a hustle and a business. And the funny thing is, we talk about that on the ground floor and the ground level. But I've talked to some executives who are kind of in the same bag because their numbers are based on quarter to quarter. So they're almost treating it as a hustle, although they're dealing with a publicly traded company, but they're still hustling. You know what I mean? They're not, and it's a difference between running a business and hustling, which is why that's an excellent point by Robin. So I said that to say this though. It tells us how a company makes money. And I've used this example countless times, and I will continue to use this example countless times because it's from a personal experience. And to me, it tells you a lot about the stock market and about business. Is the Enron story, right? When I was investing years ago and Enron was popping, and I would ask people a simple question: how do they make money? And I never got an excellent or a good answer from it. And that's why I never invested in it. And it actually is something that saved me from losing countless money, because some of you guys are too young to remember that. But when Enron was popping and people were making money, everybody thought it was hunky-dory until it wasn't. And the only reason I never got into that is because no one could tell me how it made money. And it's a simple question, right? If you can't answer that on a ground level, right? If you, as my man Cooley says, if your feet is on land and you're dealing with a business like in your neighborhood and they can't tell you how they make money, all the way up to a company that's publicly traded, and you can't answer that simple question in terms of how they make money, there's a problem. If someone asks you how Nike makes money, all of us can tell us how Nike makes money. If someone says, how does Apple make money? We know how Apple makes money, right? But then when you start to get into companies that aren't necessarily the companies we all know and love, and you start asking that question about how they make money, it can be confusing sometimes, especially when you talk about companies in cybersecurity. You know, recently I saw a bunch of people like on the Palantir wave, which is, I understand why. And I asked them how they make money. Something couldn't answer it. But then I've had people that break down how Palantir makes money, and it makes perfect sense to me. You know what I mean? Basically, they sell us all out. That's how they make money. But I digress. But I say this to say, understand how a company makes money. I don't care if that is a store on the corner of your block or if it's a publicly traded company. How they make money is important. And that's also part of the income statement, which is why looking at an income statement is important. Now, so why do they matter to investors? Because it reveals profitability. It shows bottom line, it shows profit or loss, and it compares quarters to see growth over time. And again, the thing about quarters is, are you growing over time? I should say management. How is management treating the capital? Right? You have the income coming in, you have your expenses. Are your expenses increasing or decreasing? Is your income increasing or decreasing? Are your overall profits increasing or decreasing? Right? This also gauges efficiency, because it talks about your gross profit, but also your operating income, and your margins indicate operational efficiency. When you think about investing, right, on a macro level, what you're basically doing, regardless of what business you're investing in, is you're trusting management to make your capital grow, right? Management's job is to make your capital grow or to create some sort of income stream from the capital that you allocate to that company. So how is management doing their job? You want to, because sometimes what will happen is you can look at the efficiency of a company and you realize it's not that the company's product or service isn't good, it's how management is behaving with that product or service. They're not doing their best job to make as much money as possible for you as the investor. So that's the part where quarter to quarter can come over play, because there's certain companies I've been looking at, and every quarter their expenses are going down, their income is going up, and it's growing and it's growing and it's growing. That's something I was looking at with like Facebook, right? And not investment advice. I was looking at Meta, and how they run their books is like phenomenal. They don't carry a lot of debt, and they're just growing and growing and growing. And it's crazy because, you know, on the street, people be like, man, I don't use no Facebook. That's not what the data shows, right? And if
Well,
you're
people
not
don't
using
even know
Facebook,
what Facebook is, though.
and if you're not using Facebook, you're using one of their other products, because like the numbers showing a different story. So I'm not telling you guys to go out and buy Meta. I'm just telling you I've been looking at their income statement, and the way management is, like, you know, controlling that company and what they're doing in terms of growth is just like it's phenomenal. Anyway, it tracks your revenue growth.
Real quick, Jim. So when you talk about gauging efficiency, right? The income statement also shows how well you are managing your capital. How's your capital allocation? And if you're spending money on marketing, right, are you getting a good return on that money you're spending on marketing? If you're spending money on R&D, well, is that helping to create new products and services?
Research and development, for those that don't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, Jim. Right? Is that the result? I said R&D, not R&B.
Just making sure, you know.
Right, but that's saying, like, are you able to then bring that money that you spend on R&D and bring it to market? So is that a good use? Are you in touch with what your client wants and what they need? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all. Like, so, and that's an excellent point too about the bang for your buck, specifically on marketing. That's an interesting question, because if I tell all you guys right now, especially my business owners, I say, yo, if I could tell you right now, you can put up $1 and then make $3 back, would you do it? Everybody would say, yeah, I do it, 10 times out of 10. But that's kind of how marketing is. But good marketing, I should say. Is management using the capital correctly in terms of marketing, like you said, research and development? Are you getting a bang for your buck? Or are you just putting money there for the sake of saying you're putting money there, right? If you have a marketing plan and you're spending all this money on marketing, but you're not seeing anything from it, like, what are you doing? Why are you spending that money on marketing, right? Is there something else you should be doing? Anyway, should you hire Marcus Graham to handle your marketing? You know what I'm saying? These are the questions you have to ask yourself. Anyway, so the income statement also tracks revenue growth. Top line growth signals expansion, and consistent growth indicates strong demand. And that's what I was talking about. Just giving a quick example. Like, look at that Meta. That consistent growth is something that, it shows that there's a demand for their product and their services. So you have to track these things, and one way to do it is the income statement. The income statement is important. It's almost like kind of the heartbeat of the business. What is the business actually doing, right? People look at the price of a business too much, and they don't look at the value of a business. I'm gonna repeat that. People look at the price too much, but not the value. Cost, price, and value are three different things. Once you understand the difference between cost, price, and value, that's when you can run the bag to the moon. Because
something we teach the babies.
Yeah, the babies learn this in camp. But cost, price, and value are three different things. And once you understand the difference between those three, that's when it's time to, get to the bag. Now,
my grandmother used to say, black people know the price of everything and the value of nothing.
Ooh, bars. Shout to grandma. Grandma's hands. Anyway, listen though. So those are important: cost, price, and value. So once you understand that, and you find these things out again. Look at the income statement. It may have one price on it, but when you look at the income statement, you say, man, there's a lot of value here that's not being accounted for. So there you go. So here are some other key metrics that are derived from the income statement. We have videos on all these in the village, whether we're talking about EPS, your earnings per share, which is your net income divided by shares, and it's critical for evaluating a stock. Your PE ratio, right, is also a key valuation metric. Your price to earnings, talk about price again. All of these metrics are derived from the information that you find on an income statement. They're risk indicators, high interest expenses. Sometimes I'll look at a company and you see their products and you see they have a demand for it, and then you go peel back the layers, looking at their income statement, and you realize that they're paying so much interest on debt, and it's like, I've seen that kill companies over time.
Shout out to Boston Market.
Shout out to Rite Aid.
Or Boston Chicken. Like Boston Chicken got killed. What?
All right.
So many times.
So since we talk about cost, price, and value, we might need to do a quick 10 seconds, 15 seconds on what those three things are, man. Cost is what it costs you to make it. Price is what the market will pay for you, and value is what it means to the people who use it. So just a quick 10 seconds on what those things are.
There you go. I mean, that's simplified right there. So yeah, cost, price, and value, right? So you want to make sure that the costs just aren't increasing in terms of the cost to operate that company. Kamari just removed my whole presentation.
No, I got you,
where we're going, man. What are you doing, bro? But what's my producer doing right now? Anyway,
I'm not your producer, by the way, sir.
I'm the talent, you the producer, man. It is. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? He's the DJ, I'm the rapper. Anyway.
And listen, Jazzy's more important than Will. Let's go.
Will got the bag though, so
that's all right. I said important. I didn't say you had money. This is again going back to the
you can be important. All right, you're important.
Cost, price, and value. That's a great conversation right there.
You can be important.
I'm the value. You're the price. I'm the value. You're the price.
Give me the bag. Give me the billions, or you be important. You're my favorite local DJ. Anyway, listen though, and that's no shots. I'm not saying. Listen, Jeff's not a local DJ. Jeff is a legend, but Will got the bag. Anyway, listen. Rapidly rising costs. We want to make sure that the cost, and first of all, people didn't even catch that reference anyway when I said he's a DJ, I'm the rapper. You caught it, but
of course, 87.
Now, with that being said, rapidly rising costs, the cost to operate that business, right? We want to make sure that if it's costing me X in quarter one, by quarter four, it's not costing me Y. It's not consistently going up. If so, what's the problem? Why is management spending my money to create the same amount of revenue, but there's costing more, right? Non-recurring events. You want to see what are some events that have happened that are non-occurring. This goes to my point of building something over the long term versus quarter to quarter. You may see something that's just a non-recurring event. Price to earnings growth, other key ratios, price to earnings growth ratio, and EBITDA, interest before earnings before interest, taxes, deductions,
and it's EBITDA.
EBITDA. Listen, EBITDA is non-sensitive, right? So EBITDA is non-sensitive, right? By the way,
go ahead.
I know what you're going to say, right? But I come from the school of and I'm one of these weirdos. I've listened to and read every Berkshire report, and I remember there's one. I think it was like 2007 or 8 or whatever it was, where Munger went off and talked about EBITDA is a joke. And I remember reading that and he's like, damn, he's kind of right. Sometimes tax accountants, no shots, and finance people create these metrics, right? Just for the sake of creating metrics and also to tell lies. And his point was, when you look at EBITDA, right, is amortization is the last A in EBITDA, by the way. When you look at these metrics, sometimes it's to kind of lie to the people. He was like, if you have good management, they're thinking about amortization, right? They're thinking about interest. They're thinking about taxes. So why are we taking this out? If I'm making an evaluation of the business, I don't care about EBITDA. I want to know after these things. I want to know what are my earnings after these things. If I have great earnings, but I'm not accounting for these things, does it actually matter? Right? And the only way you can say it matters is maybe management is not doing a great job, so you just replace management, right? But his point, and this is something, it's not my point. It's from Charlie Munger went off on this. His point was management should be concerning themselves with all of those things that are included in EBITDA. Would you agree with that, Kamari?
So you got to take a step back, right? So Charlie's right. He's not wrong. He's right. But when you look at how public finance is done, especially with the stock market, it's all a joke. Because then we have to go back to accounting methods, actuarial versus cash. Every publicly traded company is on accrual. Accrual. No, it's accrual. They're on the accrual basis. That's all funny money. So if we're talking about a real business, that's cash method. The cash you get and the cash you spend, that's what it is. But every public company is on accrual. And so that's money in the future. That's why Enron and WorldCom, we got to talk about WorldCom too, because it happened at the same time. But that's part of the reason why they were able to kind of game the system, because they were able to book sales in the future and they can book expenses in the future as well. So it's all kind of funny money. But EBITDA is the way that the IRS wants to. So it's, again, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Amortization and depreciation are both funny numbers. It's not money. It's not money that's spent in the quarter or the time period that they're reporting it on. However, it has a major bearing on taxes. That's why it's there. And again, I know that's way convoluted, way deeper.
Yeah, but the reason I say that it's a joke, right, is because also, so shout out to my real estate investors out there. A lot of my real estate investors want to give you their EBITDA. They don't want to tell you what it is after the fact, right? You tell me all this, all these numbers, but you're leaving out the fact that you're basically out there working for Uncle Sam. A lot of y'all make a lot of money, but y'all ain't working for yourselves. You're working for Uncle Sam, right? Now I get it. Uncle Sam takes a piece of everything you do, but this is why taxes are important in the grand scheme of all these conversations. All the conversations that we have about wealth building, about real estate, about even as it pertains to Bitcoin or even the stock market we come on Sunday, taxes are a part of all that. I'm just going to make Kamari's day by me saying this, but taxes are a part of all that. And when you start to leave that out of your analysis, you're lying, right?
But this is also the other reason why, like, the statement of cash flows more than the income statement, and we'll get to that. We're gonna
do a whole class on the statement of cash flows. But the point is,
hold on, John. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
But this actually will tell you, and this is, y'all do your homework on all these if y'all really serious about investing. But this will give you a true measure of money coming in and money coming out, because for us basic business owners, that's what the statement of income statement shows. And when you get to public, when you get to stock trading, it gets really convoluted. And to what Jimmy said, yes, people love to play games, especially our real estate investors. They love to gussy it up and then show pictures that really aren't there. So
yeah. And that's all I'm saying. Like, if we're going to do, we're going to have a real talk, where, and I'm not taking shots at my real estate folks, but that's why I say it a lot, because that's the space to operate in.
I am.
Like, y'all would talk about all these doors and all this, and it's like, yo, you did all this for Uncle Sam. Like, Uncle Sam, after you take away the time you spent to do it, your property management, stuff's going wrong, you basically went to work for the government. You wonder why the government gives you so many tax breaks for real estate, because y'all working for them. But I digress, right? There's no shots at my real estate folks.
And real estate helps to generate a lot of jobs. But again,
yes, it generates jobs. It generates jobs, and it houses folks. What should be a right. But that's a whole other conversation that as like I say, people ain't ready to have.
Robin, this is a fact. This is such a fact. And to Jimmy's point earlier, when we ask for income statements, we ask for bank statements, they can't give those either. So that shows a whole other problem.
It also, as a real estate guy, right? As a real estate guy who deals in the rental market, the sales market, that's also something interesting too, right? People hit me up to rent properties all the time, and they sometimes have a good credit score, and I start asking them for bank statements, and I'm like, yo, because a lot of y'all be out here making up pay stubs too. I won't put that out there too. Y'all gotta chill with these fake pay stubs, yo. Y'all gotta chill with the fake pay stubs, yo. Because listen, man.
And the co-make a little money. How many people? Sorry, Jababy, to cut you off, but how many people get their rent money, put it in their personal account, never put it in their business account? That's a whole other problem. But go ahead,
Whole
Joe.
other problem. But I'm telling y'all here faking these pay stubs too, man. A lot of y'all home health aides out here with these fake pay stubs. Y'all gotta chill, man. I don't mean to call y'all out specifically, but that's where I see it a lot. Y'all be your earnings per hour and your gross don't add up, right? You get the same exact thing every pay period, although the hours are different. Y'all be out here wilding, yo. Y'all be out here wilding. I got one this week where someone sent me a pay stub and the routing number didn't match the bank that they said it was deposited into. It's like, y'all think I'm not going to check that? Y'all think I'm not going to check that? What are we talking about here, man? Anyway, but I digress, man. The point is, let's get back to
numbers. Don't lie, but people do. Yes.
Anyway, man, that was a whole sidebar from EBITDA. But the point is, that's what EBITDA is, man, right? It's a joke. But let's finish this off, right? So the smart investor approach, I'm going to end it with this, man. You always want to analyze multiple periods. You want to look beyond a single quarter. Never look at a quarter in a vacuum. When you get the income statement, look at multiple quarters and see how they compare to each other. See what management is doing with the money, right? You also want to identify trends. Seasonality is something that we talk about, and consistency, right? So when we're looking at an income statement, let's look at the income statement, year over year, quarter over quarter. Let's see how it operates in different seasons. We want to get an overall picture of how this business is operating because, again, we're evaluating a business. We're not just looking at the price of a stock. We're evaluating a business to see how this business is operating in the marketplace. You also may want to look at income statements from competitors, right? So let's just throw it out there. If I'm looking at something like JP Morgan, for argument's sake, and I'm looking at their income statement, I may want to look at Wells Fargo income statement. Which management team is doing a better job of managing this income? I just picked two of the biggest banks, to use as a comparison point because they are competitors. How are they treating the capital that's flowing into the business? Are they retaining it? Even Bank of America, we can add Bank of America in there, right? So those are some of the biggest banks. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan. How are they doing with the income coming into the business? Are they retaining it? Are they spending too much on taxes? What are their expenses? Are they creating fake accounts for people that don't exist? Those are the kind of things you want to look at. By the way, that's not a joke. That actually happened.
No, that happens all the time. And your biggest bank, your one of your biggest banks.
So yeah, that's not even a joke. That's a true thing. But my point is, if you're looking at this, quarter over quarter, and here's the one thing that I always say: the reason I say that most people shouldn't hold a gazillion companies. I've seen people's portfolio when they have 100 companies, is because I believe that if you own a company, and this is just like me being anal, pause, you should be treating your publicly traded investment the same way you would a small business. And I say that to say, any company that I own, every quarter, I'm looking at their statements. When they have earnings calls, I'm sitting on the earnings call. Like, I remember as a young boy, I might own $2,000 of a company, and I'm on earnings calls, like trying to raise my hand and ask questions, like I own 2% of the company. But that's how I treat it. That's how I treat it. But that's why I couldn't be someone invested into 100 businesses, because I don't have the bandwidth to look at 10Ks, 10Qs, income statements, earnings calls. I don't have the bandwidth to do that for so many companies. So by having a smaller portfolio, I can actually be invested in the company from a time standpoint and also from my resources. Because listen, at the end of the day, the biggest thing about investing to me is not necessarily like, having exorbitant returns, but it's not to lose the capital that I put up in the first place, right? What's the Warren Buffett 2 rules to investing, Kamari?
Rule number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1.
Exactly. So I'm always worried about losing money. So for me, I want to be on the earnings call. I want to read the quarterly reports, and I want to see from quarter to quarter how this company is doing, right? So the income statement is a great way to do so by looking at the incomes that come in and looking at the expenses and looking at the debt. That debt will tell you a story. A lot of your favorite companies are just like your favorite influencers, right? Everything looks good, but you start pulling back their balance sheet, you pull that skirt up and you see all that debt, it's going to tell you a whole different story, right? And I can say this as someone that has been there. I've owned 60 plus properties and wasn't making no money because I carried so much debt. Now, again, it's a personal story, true story. Now, once I understood that, though, I realized how to be more efficient, how to own less properties that is higher income, and overall my balance sheet looks a lot better than it did with owning a bunch of property. So that's what I have on income statements. We'll dig deeper into the various parts of it in future episodes, but let me pull this down. No, Kamari to make a quick run. I'll be back. But let me get to some of these comments, before we get out of here. So, what's up, Jared? How are you? Jarrell's in the building. What's up, Jarrell? Shelby said, "What's up, Shelby?" Jokes are flying. You better duck. That's right. Champ was good. Champ said he was in King of Prussia on Friday. Oh man, I was, I wasn't in the city, but let us know next time you're in the roundaway, Champ. White Jesus is a scam. Robin, how are you? The haves and the have-nots. Yes, and we're not talking about Tyler Perry. We're talking about life. That's where we are. We talk about the idea of a middle class, is what she was referring to. Right now, we have the haves and the have-nots. What is the amount you need to be considered middle class? Great question, Jared. And that depends upon who you ask. I want to do a little bit of research on that because that changes from time to time, right? Because of inflation and the cost of goods and services, the number it costs to be middle class is probably a lot higher than it was, say, 20, 30 years ago. So I want to do some research. I think we're going to do a whole episode on that. What does it mean to be working class, middle class, upper class? Now, what do the numbers say versus, how we feel? I know people that make, 50, 60,000 that feel like they're middle class, but are they truly middle class? Miss Maui, how are you? Miss Maui says she also wants to do a Black Impact tour. That'll be dope. Do you think we could replicate Ben Franklin's Mo Money plan all right, so here's the thing, right? Ben Franklin is an interesting character. This book that I'm reading now, written by Brett Mandela about Philadelphia corruption. And he got some bars for Ben Franklin. He talks about how Ben Franklin was like the original scammer. Like he basically he gives examples in the actual historical documentation. He said Ben Franklin was like he's talking about how William Penn was this because he was a Quaker, was an idealist and had all these ideas. He said Philadelphia completely changed. Once Ben Franklin pulled up, Ben Franklin was like, he was from Atlanta back then. Like he was on pure scam mode. Like it's funny because once he said that, I start thinking about other things that I've read about Franklin, and even the adaptation for Apple TV. Ben Franklin really was on some scam-ish, but he was a statesman though. He's very articulate, smart guy. But Ben Franklin was low key.
Yeah, he just wanted to play with the floozies and
yeah. Ben Franklin was a man of the people. He wanted wine, women, and song. That's all he cared about, and getting that chicken. So Ben Franklin was
get a couple dollars
and again, this is according to the book I read. It basically calls
get a couple dollars and trick it off on the ladies, man. I ain't mad at that. That's what he was doing back then.
Yeah, so he's talking about the Ben Franklin loans to the because Ben Franklin put up that bread for like Boston and Philadelphia that grew over a long period of time. So I get exactly what he's talking about. But Ben Franklin was according to that book, the original scammer, right? The old school scammer. He's the OG scammer. Dina says, I love 1984. Read it in high school. Listen to the audiobook as an adult. Animal Farm is a mating, definitely a classic. I gotta go back to 1984 because Animal Farm is probably my favorite Orwell book. But I also haven't read 84, and it's probably been more than a decade. It's been a long time. I reread Animal Farm a couple of years ago. It's probably one of my top 5 books.
Another book that you might want to read is Beware the Pale Horse.
Beware the Pale Horse. I actually had that right here too, but I haven't read that in a while. But I do have it, and I have read it.
Listen, man. Like I said, man. I used to read extensively as a child, and so like to go back and read those things as a 40-something-year-old man when I read things as a teenager and get the different perspectives is crazy. You know what I mean? Like early 20s teenager. Like I read 1984 when I was like 13. Like, when other kids was out there reading comic books, I was reading, crazy Black literature. You know what I mean?
No, and also too, why you said that, shout out to all the great comics, right? Because certain comics have a way of giving you information and perspective, and even tackling tough events and world events in a way that you probably can't get from some books. It's almost like sometimes when you watch a cartoon, you're like, yo, how do they get away with that? You put animation in front of something and you're able to talk in a way you can't talk. And there's some, for instance, like even Ta-Nehisi Coates went through that run where he was writing the Black Panther books. He was tackling some heavy stuff, but because you got animation in front of it, you don't realize what's being tackled there. But there's a lot of great comics that way. Reggie Hudlin also did a good job of that. Anyway, but I digress. But Anthony is talking about Corey's one rule. He said Corey, but yo, shout to JT with the super chat, man. JT is in the building. JT is a member of the village.
Appreciate that, JT.
Appreciate that, JT. Robin said, preach. Yeah, we got to tell the truth. And she says, these tax streets ain't nothing nice to look at. Those P&Ls, these are facts. You need to know where the money came in, you know what I mean? And where it went is what's left. What are you paying in taxes? That's a great question to ask folks. Could be misleading. Look at a quarter, but weight loss, if you wait 12 months, it might be too late. These are truths too, Miss Mallory. I can vouch for that personally. I don't need quarter to quarter. I might need every other day. You know what I'm saying? Just to make sure I'm on the right track. They have to know the difference between actual business and hustle. Yeah, we talked about that, man. Some folks out here just hustling, not running a business. Robin says, I own my own tax business and a certified tax preparer. Hey, listen, great. Congratulations. Glad to hear that. So Robin is on point. That now your comments make sense. You know what I mean? Jared admits he lost money on Enron. A lot of folks did. But Jared, that's a good question. When you did lose money on Enron, did you fully understand their business model, right? And again, it's all about experience, right? I've made mistakes in trading and investing, but kind of leads me to where I am now, where some would say that I'm more conservative, but I don't think I'm conservative at this point as an investor. I think I just do more due diligence. I love asking clients what their business offers. That's a great question. Many all over the place. Hustle. Income statement shows your money management health. That's one sentence that encompasses pretty much everything we talked about this morning. Income statements shows your money management health. Thank you for that. Let's see. Ryan is in the building. He says, yo, white listener here about to go down to Ocean City, New Jersey. Salute to Ocean City. They are using Instagram, though. That's also true, Jared. A lot of folks don't even realize, and I'm like, it says Instagram for Meta, even on the app, but people don't realize. I've had people literally tell, matter of fact, a lot of our kids, we do this joke with our kids in our camp, when they be like clowning Facebook. Oh, Facebook is for old people, blah, blah, blah. It's all about IG. And I'm like, well, you on Facebook too. You don't know you're on Facebook, but you on Facebook. People tend to like separate Instagram from Facebook as if it's not the same company. Anyway, the Smoking Rise, Skidball Chocolate Ice Cream. I heard that. Shout out to Ocean City again. What up, though? Detroit's in the building. What's up? What's up, Jamil? I have life insurance, but I figure I'm horrible at saving money. Might as well live life while I can. Hey, listen, you say that till you get older, man. In the words of Sean Jacobs, you plan for the future because you figure you're gonna be older way longer than you're gonna be younger. Most people can't even save money and have income left. If they lose that $500 a month, they can go homeless. And I think that's part of the issue when we talk about the difference of classes and not having a middle class. Many people are one paycheck away from this being in complete ruin. Grandma had truth bombs, talking about what Kamari says. It's true. As Dr. Umar would say, sabotage. I remember when Michael Jordan used to advertise for WorldCom. I bet you his check's cleared, though. You know what I'm saying? He got his bread up front. Bank statements don't lie. Let's not tell all their business. Jesus, like Bank of America, Wells Fargo shade. Hey, listen, man. These are, I'm just saying things that have actually happened. Things that are actually happening. And Jared talks about when I say about sitting in all those meetings. So you're the owner. Yes, you are the owner. Act as if you're the owner, right? And also debt matters. Debt absolutely matters. People like to ignore debt when they talk about their numbers. Let's talk about the debt. Yeah, I've seen a lot of real estate folks on my feed. I own 50 houses. Okay, you're working for the bank, right? Because now you start looking at your cash flow statement. But by the time you service your debt, pay for repairs, you don't have any money. But you know who made their money? The bank charging you 7% interest. They're gonna make theirs before you. They get paid before you do. Them and Uncle Sam are your business partners that you have that you may not want to have, but they're your partners anyway. They make money and they don't take on any of the risk you do, right? Because guess what happens? If your tenant moves out and you don't have that income coming in, guess who still got to get paid? Your partners. You know what I'm saying? Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, you know what I'm saying? Renovo, no matter who your lender is, they want their bread. Shout out to Renovo. You know, that's one of my business partners. Live, learn, and do better. That's what you got to do. Edvar, what's up, Edvar? How are you? Appreciate you pulling up.
Yeah.
I could see that, Ben the scammer. Kamar, you missed my point I was making. I see Kamar just pulled back up. I'll wait till he comes back on stage. I was telling him that part of that book, that Philadelphia corruption book, he says in the book that Ben Franklin is the original scammer. Like, he's the original Atlanta dude. Like, they said Ben Franklin was the OG scammer.
Wow, because of the fire.
Several examples why. a lot of different. Listen, that's just one reason. There's a lot of different reasons. But he talks about how when William Penn, got the land and what have you of Pennsylvania and settled and all that. William Penn was a Quaker, so he was kind of like an idealist. He was also a slave owner, but that's a side note. But
so
he was an idealist. Yeah, but Ben Franklin pulled up with the scams. Like Ben Franklin was trying to scam BBWs out of their draws. He was trying to scam money out of France. He was trying to scam money. And by the way, this is documented too. Ben Franklin talked about his love for BBWs. Drake wasn't the first.
I mean, that's why he went to France to be.
Yeah, because they had thicker women. So part of the reason he went to France because
he took his son with him.
Yeah. So, but in the book he calls him the OG scammer, yo. So when he said that, I was like, damn, that does make sense. He kind of was. I never thought about the OG scammer, man. So just want to put that out there, man. He said, somebody in the comments said, so Ben Franklin was Dr. Umar before Dr. Umar.
Oh, that's nasty work.
Yeah, that's dirty, nasty work.
And said Ben Franklin was Clay Davis.
Yo, Umar get a lot of hate, but I seen his work in the community, man. Like you might think he a scammer because he takes an approach to getting money that we wouldn't take, but his work in the community is documented. Now, that's one thing I could say. There's families you can call, and Dr. Umar name. If you speak ill of Dr. Umar in their presence, they'll punch you in your face.
Yeah, but I think right. And again, we're not trying to turn this into a thing about Dr. Umar. I think that's where a lot of people, because a lot of people know him from the internet. They don't know him from the actual work, right? But I think that's where once the internet became what it became, and I think
he had to go
he's
get
an
his
intelligent
money.
brother, so he recognizes his value in the marketplace as a brand, so he kind of run with that. So you hear more about that than the actual work that he used to do. I don't even know like how much he's.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he's.
I'm not in his business, but
how do we go from income statements of Dr. Umar?
No, we start talking about Ben Franklin.
We start comparing Ben Franklin being a scammer, income statements. They not like us, and now we talking about Enron again. So Jared says, I was in an investment group. I thought they sold energy in Texas. Yeah. We thought President Bush was going to save Enron at the time. A lot of people did. Don, what up? Don, I mentioned you a couple of times earlier in the show, man. Pause, but I did. For 99% of people, our class is determined at birth. Class is more than income.
Facts indeed.
It's a fact.
And this is why Isabel Wilkerson is a genius. Because she talks about this in her book, which is why it's called Caste.
Yeah. For those who've never read that book, get that book. It's called Caste, Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. But Don, that's an excellent point, and that's something we're going to take to that video. We're going to do a whole video on classes, but that's an excellent part to put as part of it, right? What up, Rich? Ben was a pimp. Yeah, Ben Franklin is an interesting person to read. Because Ben Franklin had his hands in so many different things. As it pertains to money, he was on point with his money talk back then. Ben Franklin was already on multiple streams of income. Ben Franklin was on saving. A penny saved is a penny earned. Ben had a lot of bars. Compound interest. So Ben was on compound interest. So Ben Franklin was early to compound interest. He was early on saving. He was early on investing. He was multiple streams of income. But Ben Franklin also was an OG scammer, right? Ben Franklin was from Ben Franklin was from Decatur, man.
Hey, listen, two things could be true at the same time, man.
Ben Franklin was the original Atlanta YN, man. So
Yo, he called my man in Atlanta YN.
Wow.
Yo. Anyway, man, but this is the book Corey's referring to right there, Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents. So just want to put that out there, man. Would you have trusted Ben with your money? Is it before or after his trip to France? Right. Before he went to France, no, because I know he was going over there to spend the money on. He was spending that money on wine, women, and song. All he wanted to do was party. He also was a party animal too, man. Ben was about the spending intimate time with BBWs, and he wrote extensively about this, by the way.
Yeah, Trick. That should have been his trick. He was the original Trick.
Ben was also the originator. Ben was the originator of $40 dates too, by the way. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kamari.
I was a terror in the public school era. Thinking about Ben.
Ben Franklin created the $40 date, right? So you're hearing. I'm gonna chill. No more Ben Franklin standard. Let's move on, man. Because today we talked about income statements. You know what I'm saying? He also dabbled in vegetarianism. I didn't know that part. I gotta read up on that. But he's an interesting person to read about, though. Like
he did, however, free the people he owned as enslaved Africans.
So that's a different question for a different show. How do you feel about that, though? Right? Because you already you still own it.
Well, it's fucked up, right? It's all fucked up. But none of the other ones did that. So I do think there's a point of distinction that should be made.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. We can talk about that at a different time. Jared is laughing. I used to work at MCI WorldCon when they went bankrupt. I still remember that Friday when they told us folks were quiet, nervous, and teary-eyed. I was pissed because I got out of training. I was 19 years old. Hey, listen, man, at least you were young, because imagine being there for 30 years and you get that news, right? So, interesting story, though.
It's funny. More people don't talk about WorldCon. I think they forgot about it. Like, WorldCon was actually bigger than Enron, the scandal.
Yeah. The only reason I use the Enron is because that was a real example, but WorldCon was.
Oh, not you. I mean, I'm guessing.
No, I'm just saying in general, because I forget about it too. I'm actually saying, yeah, it's me. I'm people, right? I forget about it too because I didn't have any dealings in terms of that space, right? So Don says there's a caste system within every economic class.
Every time.
Yep, that's right.
Also, Poor Richard Almanac was a classic piece for sure, right? So that's also Ben Franklin was the OG ghostwriter. You know what I'm saying? he was the OG ghostwriter too. So. Listen, man.
He was a lot of things at a lot of different stages of his life, man. Ben Franklin was an interesting character.
And listen, he also might be the original most interesting man in the world when you look at all these things, in aggregate.
Jim, he was the Ashley. I mean, he was the Quavers for the Quavers.
Yeah, there you go. He was the Quavers before the Quavers. We got Ben Franklin as an investor, as a scammer, as a nightlife connoisseur, as a ghostwriter. I mean, he's all things.
My man was an inventor. My man was out there dabbling in veganism. My man was doing everything, man. Like,
yeah, he lived a full life, man. But anyway, man, listen, we appreciate you guys. Make sure if you have any youth that are interested in the camp, go to bthcamp.com and get them registered. That's bthcamp.com. Please join our village. It's free to join the village. Go to blackwealthrebels.com. That's blackwealthrebels.com. We want to make sure we're able to communicate with folks off of these platforms because they play games with us. They play games with us based on our name, right? It is what it is, though. So go to blackwealthrebels.com. Make sure to sign up for the village. It is absolutely free. What else we got going on? Next cash mob, we'll be announcing that soon, so look out for that. We will be here Wednesday for Wealthy Wednesdays. I'm also, I took a little hiatus from both my pods because, for personal reasons, everything going on in life, but they come back this week. I got a lot to talk about. I got some footage from Tulsa you'll see in those things. So, yeah, man, be on the lookout for the pods this week. Wealthy Wednesdays, Freedom Fridays. Our Bitcoin giveaway is this Friday, so pull up on Friday. And just follow us on all social media. The Black Wealth Rebels. Follow Kamari, the Finance Rebel. Follow Corey, although I don't know the point because Corey don't be on socials.
At all.
He's Corey Detox on socials. You can follow me on everything at JW the Blueprint.
I mean, if you at me on socials, I'll respond.
Yeah.
If you don't at me, it ain't meant for me. So I don't
side note, man, all this Facebook. Follow me on Facebook too, yo. I'm at JW the Blueprint on Facebook, man. I'm talking about Facebook page popping, man, because I realized, man, that folks be talking crazy about Facebook, but that's where a lot of stuff be at, man. Like, I love IG and all that, but follow me on Facebook. I'm at JW Blueprint.
IG ain't number Facebook 2.0.
It is, and also I like how he basically everything you do to Facebook, he feeds everything you do IG feeds to Facebook anyway. Yep. So just holler at me on socials, man. At JW the Blueprint. Follow the company too. You know what I mean? Like follow Black Wealth Rebels. But on my personal page, you might get more ratchet memes and more crazy food pics. So my Facebook is facebook.com/JW the Blueprint, or you can just look up Jimmy Williams. You know what I mean? If you're already friends with Kamari, you'll see me as a mutual friend. Although Kamari's friends with everybody, that's the mayor.
Here we go.
Oh, Miss Maui. By the way, Miss Maui, I want to put this up there. Pause. I did get your email. I had just got back in town, so I'll take care of you today. I promise you'll have it today. Because I saw the email, so I assumed Miss Maui won on Friday. I wasn't here. I wasn't here and didn't see it, but I did get it. I just got back in. I just got back in town literally yesterday, so I'll make sure that you are taken care of today. Thank you for reminding me. You will get it today. I promise you. And as a matter of fact, Miss Maui, I'm gonna shoot you a text because I got your number now. I'm gonna shoot you a text because you're probably gonna have to resend it because those lightning addresses after a while they just they go dead. You have to resend the new lightning address, but I got your number. I'll text you because I got to make a run. to go show this house. But when I get back, I'll text you and I'll make sure that you get your
stunt.
Hey, listen, man, I'm not stunting, man. Listen, I got a 2-bedroom house in West Philly.
I gotta get money on Sunday, baby.
Hey, listen, man, I got a 2-bedroom house in West Philly on the 5600 block of Apple Tree Street, $1,200 a month. If you're looking for, look for a rental, come out. You want to move out West Philly? I got something for you. You know what I mean?
Did y'all peep that light Advil?
No BS. I might need to rent a space from you, bro.
Holla at me, man. Tell Stop to holla at me, man. Listen, I got it. Let's try it and wait to run. I got a beautiful, nice 2-bedroom for you, Corey. Brand new. Got a washer and dryer combo in one device. Beautiful, beautiful spot. I got it, man. Whatever you need, man. Condos, I got it, man. In the words of King Push, man, say less.
Say less.
Say less. All right, y'all. We love y'all. We appreciate you guys. Remember, blackwealthrebels.com. Please go join, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you Wednesday.